everyone. Today is Thursday, May 16th, 2024, and this is a meeting of the Concord Middle School Building Committee. I am going to call roll. Alexa Anderson.
Present.
Heather Bout.
Morning.
Morning. Justin Cameron. Nope. Bob Connery. Nope. Gail Dowd.
Good morning.
Good morning. Peter Fishelis not with us today. Guess he's playing soccer in London or something, so good for him.
Yeah.
Don Goriello, I'm present. Russ Hughes.
I'm here.
Oh, you are, Russ. Hey, welcome.
Yep.
I didn't give you enough time. Good morning, Tim Holt. No, Tim. Uh-oh, do we have a quorum? Lori Hunter.
Good morning.
Morning, Mark Howell.
Here.
Good morning, Carrie LaFleur.
She is not available today.
Okay, no problem. Pat Nelson.
Here.
Chris Popoff cannot make it today. Charlie Parker cannot make it today. Matt Root.
Here.
Good morning. Eric Sims said he probably can't make it. He'll pop in late if he can. And Steve Stashewski.
I am here.
Good morning. So I think we're good. We have Steve, Matt, Pat.
Yeah, we have a quorum. We have
We're
a.
good. Okay. I kept getting emails that people couldn't come and I was getting worried, but I think we're good. Okay.
Dawn, sorry, a quick, just
Sure, Heather.
point, I guess an order question. I usually use the link that goes out on the public email to log in here, basically to check that it's working. And I don't think I saw it. I don't know if I received it, but I just wanted to make sure that it went out.
How do I know that?
Do you mean on the posting?
I'm sure it's posted. It's more, it usually goes out in our distribution lists.
Oh, Aaron's
maybe-
out this week. We probably didn't get it done.
Okay, got it. Got it. Then that's fine. If it's just
Yeah.
I
that.
know it was posted to the town site, but it's an image. So like, who asked me? Someone emailed and asked for the link because it's not a live link when it's an image.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it's there, like the information's there, but the
Okay,
link
so it's there and
isn't
officially posted. It just didn't go out. in
because
the
I
right-
went to the
I just wanted to-
I went to the website to see. I was like, oh, what's going on? So this was like over the weekend, I think.
Okay.
So anyway,
Great.
I think the information's out there. Maybe it's not a live link and they have to put the meeting ID and password in, but it's there.
All good. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Just wanted to make
All right.
sure.
Yeah.
Brian
No,
Brian
oh, it was
Folds is
Brian-
here,
Brian
so
Folds.
some
That's who it
members of
was,
the
Matt.
public.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people found it.
Well, no, but Brian's the one I emailed the link to. Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
So yeah, so interesting. Well,
It's in
I
the
guess-
official places. We didn't get the step to the distribution list
to the
because
distribution.
Aaron hasn't been in all week.
All good.
Oh.
Yeah, for better or for worse, we're fine to go ahead.
Yeah, I thought
Right.
so. Because it's just an image on the town website. Okay, well, let's move forward then. Approval of meeting minutes, April 11th and May 2nd. Which one did you say yesterday? Are we not doing that one? And
Yeah, we're gonna hold off on that, Don.
which one was it? Remind me.
5-2.
Yeah,
5-2.
May
So
2nd.
just April 11th is, Ian tried to get with Aaron absent. It was sort of a last minute. So we're going to hold on to May 2nd. So has everyone had a chance to look at the April 11th meeting minutes?
Yep.
While I'm unmuted, I'll move to approve them.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second. I just want to note that I asked about EPDs for the concrete mix. So it doesn't have to be in the minutes as long as Jonathan, looking at you, as long as somebody's working on that.
Okay. Well, why don't we add them to the minutes? So Heather, will you move with that?
I
edit?
will move to approve the minutes as amended by Matt Root.
Very good.
Thank you, Heather. I second.
All right.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote. Alexa,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Dawn, I'm a yes. Tim, oh wait, was Tim not here? Lori,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and Steve.
I abstain. I didn't see the packet
Okay.
yet, but I just found it in my email. I apologize.
No worries. So it still passes with your abstention. Okay, very good. Let's move on to correspondence communication. Do we have anything, Heather?
No, nothing to report. So-
I'll just
Keep
say
it
that
quick.
Brian did reach out for the, to Pat and I for the link, and I sent that along to him over the weekend.
Got it. Yeah. that
All
was
right.
one.
Very good. The OPM update, Ian?
Great,
anything to
thank you.
share?
Yep. Let me put it up on the screen here. So we've got quite a few things to go over today. We've got the financial update, 2 amendments for SMMA, a change order for CTA. Wanted to talk through TRC approval threshold, some thoughts on that, and then just the construction progress report. So I will get started with the financials. So this is the updated summary. All this is in the should have been in the meeting packet for you guys to take a look at. So you know, the big changes here, just any you know, anything that was approved via change order is now shown in the change order column as approved. We're forecasting 141,000 in pending changes that are still out there. And what else? The amendments we've captured in the designer base services and the geotech. We'll go over those later. Commitments are at 99.5 million. We've got 3.6 remaining in contingency, 2.2 for the bid savings, 776,000 for owner's contingency, for a total of 6.6. There's another contingency in here too. Oh, the 2 million. So we'll still have 11.9 in contingency costs. So expenditures to date are at 50.7 million. We'll get into the details on the TRC report. Balance is 60.7. So it's kind of high level budget numbers. Cash flow, just actualizing everything to date, matching the estimated and expenditures, and then projecting forward. So that's the 50.6 spent to date, and then just projecting through the rest of the year and into 2026. So contingency usage, we've got 20% of the hard cost contingency used at this point. That's the 919,000 in change orders. 141,000 is the 3% forecasted. So we've got remaining 77%. On the soft cost side, we started at 877,000. We've used 11% at this point. And this is all inclusive of things that we're going to go over today. So kind of preemptively putting things into the right buckets. From a TRC log update, we've had quite a bit of movement since the last full committee meeting. So this is inclusive of the special meeting we had on 5/2, which went over CTA change orders 9 and 10. Today we're going to go over change order 11 for CTA, and then the 2 amendments for SMMA. This is just capturing the budget adjustments. So anything on the hard cost side would be a contingency draw for the CTA change orders. The soft cost contingency are draws for the consultant amendments we should note that one of these is a temporary contingency draw. It's ultimately going to be funded by CMLP, and because it's related to their work, so there will be reimbursement for that. Invoices, since the last time we met, we've actually had quite a few things go through. So we had CTA invoices, invoice 11, SMMA invoices for last month. There's 2 Hill invoices in here, one from Malta Vista, one for FINA, who's the material testing agent, another requisition for CTA for last month, some legal fees that we went back and captured, and then another invoice from SMMA. So 13 million in expenditures in the past month. So quite a bit happening there. Any questions on the budget update, financial update? Yep.
I have a question. If anyone can see my hand. Relative to sort of where we are in the project, are we comfortable with the rate of contingency that we used? Is it average, high, low? Are there expectations of using a whole lot more? This is the first project of this size that I've ever worked on, so I'm just curious.
Yeah. No, I think that there's a good level of comfortability with where we're at in contingency usage so far. We are roughly 50% complete with construction. So our contingency usage is pretty low for where we're at, which is a good thing. And so yeah, I think that there's an expectation that, you know, that things are going to happen. We're going to expend more contingency, and we'll continue to track it with you guys on a monthly basis. But I think we're generally in good shape and good standing.
From the technical review committee point of view, we feel that there aren't as many open and unclosed proposal requests from SMMA. We're pretty clean on the report with, I don't know if it's shown in your numbers there, Ian, but I think it's in the report coming up. But we're feeling pretty good about where we're at with open outstanding change orders, unlike last month. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yep. Yeah, that's the forecasted amount here. So 141,000.
And is there a way to forecast maybe a worst case scenario for the demolition of the existing Sanborn School? Because that's kind of the big unknown that's left, right? I don't know how we would go about maybe assessing what our potential worst case scenario would, cost exposure would be.
Yeah, we could put some thought into that. What this report doesn't account for are just projections of potential risks that aren't necessarily captured by a PCO from CTA yet. So yeah, I guess we would have to kind of determine what we feel is a reasonable amount of risk to carry for that and forecast it for that item or any other item that we think could potentially come up in the course of construction.
Yeah, demo just has its unknowns to it until you get in there. I've lived that experience where suddenly there's environmental stuff that needs to be mitigated. And so good question, Steve. I think they can try to predict it, can be just hard to know until you get in. Making it really good. We're running low on contingency right now. Usage is low.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that you know, Novus did their due diligence on the hazmat report, you know, when they surveyed the existing school, and that was all included in the bid. I want to say it was over $1 million worth of, you know, hazardous material removals in the building. So there's a level of comfortability there with their due diligence and what they did, but it's not to say that they missed, you know, it's always a possibility of missing something, right? Good questions. Anything else before we move on?
Doesn't look like it.
So we've got a few amendments here and change orders. So the first one here is related to the CMLP scope. So as you know, there's PV arrays going in the parking area. We're coordinating that design and installation effort with CMLP, and one of the elements of that is making sure that all the runoff from the PV arrays is captured and goes to the right places within the parking area. And so one thing that we were asked to do by CMLP is essentially design the drainage from the bottom of the PV arrays where the downspouts are, and tie those into our drainage structures on site. And so that's what this effort is here for SMMA and Niche, who's their civil engineer. So this is a proposal for $6,700 total for those design services, $5,000 for Niche, and then the rest would be SMMA's management and markup on that. And this is what I alluded to earlier is just a temporary contingency draw. So this will be reimbursed to the project by CMLP. We just have to go through the mechanism of doing that. So, but this is kind of step one of committing this to our job and having them proceed with this design work, so that we can issue it to CTA for pricing. So this is amendment number 5 for SMMA.
Any questions? Any
But
motions?
to your
Mhm.
C point of view, I feel like we are comfortable with the overall cost. We looked at it, it makes sense. And we also feel that the lighting, the Concord light is also in agreement with the price. So that's why we recommended it.
Thanks, Steve.
You want to go vote on these individually, or how do we want to do this?
Yeah, we probably should. Any motions on this one? No one? We have to coordinate with CMLP here.
Sure, I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Heather.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote. Alexa,
Yes.
thank you. Heather,
Yes.
Dawn, I'm a yes. Lori,
Yes.
Mark, Markel.
Unmute, yes.
Okay, I was like, uh-oh, did he leave? Pat
Yes.
and Matt? Well, I think it's switched to his car. He may not be here. Okay, Steve? Stashewski? Did we lose Steve?
Yes. You hear me? Yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, yes,
I was
now we
muted.
can. Okay, very good. The motion passes. All right, next one.
Thank you.
Dawn, John, Tim came in, just so you know, Tim
Oh,
Holtz
I did. Hi, Tim. I didn't see
Hi.
you, and thank you. I'll get you in on this next one then. I'm not sure how much of that you were able to hear, so. Thanks, Lori.
I'm fine.
Okay, so the next change is an amendment for SMMA as well. This is for geotechnical services. So the background on this is that McArdle Associates is the geotechnical engineer on site. We bought a certain scope from them upfront and estimation of what they think their services would take to complete the work. There were things that happen on site throughout construction, washouts of foundations, different things that have happened that have kind of slowed things down and have required their attention on site. Jumping around to different inspections for earthwork and just some inefficiencies there with that. So they reached a point where they said, you know what, we really don't have enough money to cover all the services out here. And so they put together an estimation of what they think it would take to cover the rest of the site work activities on site. So that's what we're looking at today. It's a T&M not to exceed of $55,000, which includes SMA's markup. So it's really $50,000 for McArdle Associates. And that's kind of the background on it. Jen, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, that was pretty thorough description of sort of where we're at with this one.
What was
I have
the
a
original
question.
base
Oh,
contract amount for them?
I'm sorry, you asked the base contract amount?
Yeah, for this sub.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I think it's mixed into here. So it's it would be about 210.
So is it fair to characterize this as being weather driven excess expense?
I would say it's probably some of its weather was due to weather events, which is why we had some issues with washouts of foundations that we needed to correct. And then part of it is just the way that the contractor sequenced the work, the earthwork. So it required just some more time on site.
Okay.
Looks like that portion of their scope was about 205,000 originally.
Yep.
There we go.
Thanks, Jonathan.
And this is a not to exceed T&M. Who's ordering them for services? Is that Vin? Is he the one?
That's
calling,
right.
Saying,
Yep.
okay, and then he's the one signing the T&M slips?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. And Vin is the, what's he technically, clerk or?
Site
on-site
manager. Yeah.
manager, yeah,
Yep.
I forget what they call him now. On-site manager for Hill out on site, so, okay. Any other questions on this? Any motions?
If that's my job today, I'll move to approve this.
I appreciate you, Heather.
Sure.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. Any further discussion? Sounds like no. Okay, let's vote then. Alexa, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you, Heather.
Yes.
Dawn, I'm a yes. Tim?
Yes.
Thank you. Lori?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Matt? Is Matt back? Matt Root? Still driving his son to school, I guess. Steve?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is change order 11 for CTA. And this is comprised of 4 PCOs. The total of the change order is $24,551.09. So, Jen, do you want to talk through any of these?
Yep, the first 2 are plumbing related, just some additional waste piping and vent piping required for various plumbing fixtures and scope. The PCO 37 missing OWS vent also included additional roof penetrations. So that one is one of the larger ones on for this change order. That's $13,491. And then just an additional fire alarm device in a space. That was a unit price, so that's the $978. And just some missing. We have some trap primers that required electrical. There were 3 of them that we hadn't shown, so that's the $2,229.
The TRC looked at
questions?
this, all 4 of
Oh.
these, they're appropriate. The plumbing design didn't catch the waste or vent line to a sink that was out in one of the classrooms. So
Mhm.
the drawings are accurate now, and the pricing.
You broke up for a minute, Steve.
Oh, sorry. We're saying the TRC, reviewed this. We're in approval of it. So if anybody had questions, we could answer them.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone? This all feels like typical construction changes, little things here and there.
Yep.
All right. If no questions, any motions?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Heather.
I'll second.
Thank you, Alexa. Any further discussion? Okay. No, let's vote on it. Alexa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Heather.
Yes.
Dawn, I'm a yes. Tim?
yes,
Lori?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Matt, are you back? No? Steve?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Motion passes. Construction progress, is that where we're at, Ian?
We had one more thing on
Oh, one
the
more.
agenda for just discussion about the TRC approval thresholds.
Oh, right. I missed that. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Before we move on to that, last time around, we talked a little bit about whether or not we could understand the backlog of sort of unresolved schedule discrepancies between CTA and what we've approved with no schedule variance. Has there been some progress on that, and when can we expect it?
So this, I'm just making sure I understand your question. So this is related to just schedule only, not change order related.
Right. If I remember the conversation correctly, we were looking at approving a change order where we were saying no schedule variance, and our understanding was that CTA was suggesting that they felt that there was going to be a schedule impact. And so I was asking a question about whether or not there was an accumulation of that sort of discrepancy between our view of the schedule officially through the change orders and what they may be holding some objection to. And so I wanted to know the order of magnitude of that.
Yeah, I think we're in a similar position here where there's disagreement between the parties on, what they think that they're entitled to for time in relation to some of these changes. and what we think is what they're entitled to in relation to time for some of these changes. So, we're trying to bring this to resolution. It's a pretty complex topic with them. And
Hey, Ian, can I
yeah.
just ask that if, like, we don't have a full understanding, right? And this technically wasn't on the agenda, so I just want to be
Yeah.
careful that we're not talking out of
Okay.
line, but I do know that this is out there. And until we have concrete information, I'm not sure we can even speculate, right?
Yeah, and I'm not asking for the numbers. I was asking for the status of the action item to get the numbers.
Yeah. So I think the only thing I was going to add is that the action item it's really on CTA to quantify and justify any of these claims on their side. And until they do that, we don't really have anything to look at.
So I guess my question is, does the TRC have visibility to how many days of schedule they're asking for? Not that we're agreeing or approving it or anything. I just want to understand what the size of the discrepancy is.
I'll let Jonathan speak to that for the TRC meetings.
So basically, we have individual PCOs where CTA either has language on them that is reserving their rights for additional time without any specific amount of time being stated, or reservation of rights along with days. So each individual PCO could have a day that they're looking for, 3 days that they're looking for, 10 days that they're looking for.
Jonathan, I'm going to stop
Yes.
this conversation. Where are
Sure.
we with getting, we don't know until CTA.
It's in CTA's,
it's in their-
basically
the
CTA
ball's in
needs
their
to
court.
prove, yeah,
Yep.
the ball is in CTA's
I
court. They
don't
need to
wanna-
prove
this
their
is not on the
delays.
agenda, and I don't want to be caught in a position where we're having conversation on things that aren't on the agenda. So I think, Mark, to answer your question, the ball's on CTA's court. They need to come back to
Yep.
us if they believe that there's time. And we don't know what the discrepancy is. So
Yeah.
let's move on.
So the next topic then, this was just resurrecting the memo that we put out, and there was a minor revision to it per the vote that the committee ended up voting on here, just in the green. But ultimately this is what the direction was at the beginning of the project. This is from May of last year. So a year ago, we kind of went through this and set up the procedures and protocol for the TRC and how to do business with the technical review committee. And so one of the things that came up more recently is, we've got changes that and direction that we need to provide in a pretty quick manner to get CTA moving in the field, and in a way that we're not causing any delay in the progress of work. And so we were just thinking of ways to accomplish that. I think the last time, we kind of talked through and said, hey, we're going to set up committee meetings on an as needed basis. And we had one of those last, couple of weeks ago on the 2nd. We can continue to do that, but there was just some thought about, kind of how to best proceed, and maybe rethinking some of the thresholds and the way that the TRC operates here. So just wanted to kick off that discussion, and if there's any other thoughts or input from Gail or anyone else to kind of push this off, that would be great.
Is it okay if I jump in quickly?
Sure.
So what we have been doing is TRC, and I know Steve's driving and he's also ready to jump in as well. So what we've been doing is TRC has been meeting weekly, if not more frequently, to review the PCOs that we're getting from CTA and reviewing the logs and going through them with Hill and SMMA. Then we've been bringing them all forward to this committee, knowing that the way that the original document was drawn up is that the TRC would have the ability to approve these items and keep them moving forward. So what we would like to do is revisit that. And the main reason is, as we're really now in the thick of things, we want to make sure we're approving items and giving the authorization to move forward as quickly as possible so as not to risk having any potential schedule delays. So what we would like to do is request that the committee allow TRC the authority to approve PCOs up to $50,000 and be able to execute the changes upon our approval to CTA, and then bring those forward to the committee on a monthly basis. And that again is to allow us the ability to make sure we're not holding up construction, getting in the critical path. And these would only be for required items. Anything that would come from the town for proposed changes, we would still follow the process that we have been, that we would go through, review them, approve them, and then bring them forth to the committee for final approval.
As an example, how much of what we just approved on change order 11 would have fallen into that?
The entire amount of the items on change order 11 would fall into that. So the total for change order 11 was 24,000. In each item within that, the largest one was 13,000. So if these were each brought to us individually, we would have approved them and allowed the work to proceed upon our approval.
Thank you, Gail. Heather, I see your hand.
Yeah, thanks. This certainly makes sense to keep things moving. My question is similar to Dawn's, but if we look back at, I don't need a detailed analysis of every change order so far, but of the ones that we've done so far, how many would still have come to us? Like, what's the percentage generally?
The percentage, Heather, would be relatively small. The majority of the items we've been approving have been
Pretty
in
small.
$30,000 range. I think
Right.
the reason we did the 50,000 is the one that we just did for the auditorium was obviously significant. The items related to the notice to proceed and the winter conditions were larger. So the way we looked at it is the ones that we know are very sensitive, much more complicated, we would want to bring those forward, but the ones we're looking at are the smaller. Dawn's done a great job of explaining that the ones we're seeing are normal and typical in a construction project. So that's where we came up with the dollar amount, is looking at the complexity in history. And there've been very few that would have exceeded that, which is how we came up with the $50,000 threshold.
That makes sense. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have questions, concerns, discussions?
Yeah, so I didn't see anything about $50,000 in the document that was distributed, and I was kind of looking for that. Also, was there a previous authorization level that we had authorized, or were we just at zero before?
Yeah, so you,
Sorry, the way the document had been written is that we, for any necessary items, TRC had full authority that we could approve anything that was
Yeah.
necessary, which would have even included the auditorium. We've been bringing all of those forward to make sure, from a transparency, from an understanding, from a tracking the budget, that the committee was fully aware of it. So while this does say that anything's necessary, we have basically no limit. We wanted to make sure the committee was still comfortable in seeing the significant dollar items. So we could adjust this.
Okay.
Additionally, we just wanted to try to move forward with shifting the practice we're currently doing, where every dollar has still been being brought forth to the committee.
Okay, so it's more of a shift of process, but not necessarily something that we need to formally approve. Is that what I'm understanding?
We were looking to make sure the committee was comfortable with, it is a shift in process, but we were looking for the committee to officially give us their blessing and approval so that we're all in agreement moving forward that it is a shift in practice.
Okay.
So we would need to vote just in concept that this is the process moving forward, I think is what Gail's getting at. Heather, I see your hand again.
One more, sorry.
Don't be
Is
sorry.
this a pretty typical way that TRCs operate in a building committee?
I can speak to other projects that I've been involved in that it is typical that authority is given to those on site to keep the project moving forward, and the more complicated or owner-driven ones would be brought forward for approval. And I know even with speaking with Hill and SMMA, this is more typical of what they see on other projects.
Okay, that's good to know.
I'd agree with that. Steve?
Right, so
His hand went down. Oh, there you go.
in commercial world, we do this also. We see owners and operators, own the project companies have authority levels like this. So, and the alternative is that we continue to have these ad hoc meetings with the full building committee to make sure there's visibility. If we do proceed with this, we all need to understand that it is full authority given to the TRC, and then our decision, because it's moving fast, our decision has to be final. So what we'll do is inform the committee on our monthly basis going forward. And if those sessions have any concerns, we would have to review the process again. But we can't be going back on the decisions that the TRC will move to debate.
I missed that last part, Steve. You're a little bit broken
Sorry.
up again.
So the TRC decisions, if this were to pass, would need to be final, and so everybody needs to know that has to be a final decision, and that there can't be any kind of like, oh well, now the building committee, if we were to meet later and they were informed, if they were to disagree with something that the TRC does, it's too late at that point. So that's the risk that the TRC is taking on at the expense of not having to meet ad hoc every week. So it's to me, it doesn't matter. We're going to meet anyway. So if it helps the overall committee to move things along and not have additional meetings, and it moves the project along probably a little bit more swiftly. But we need to understand that the decisions that we would make at the TRC level are going to be final. And so it will be informing the overall building committee on the basis of what the decisions were.
Yep. And from a timing standpoint, I think we would pick up anywhere from one to 3 weeks timing on approvals and issuance of changes to CTA with this change. So, it just depends on where things land as far as finalizing a PCO and putting that in front of the TRC. But I think that's generally what we gain, and that's the vast majority of these changes are under 50K, small changes. It's just a way to make things move a little faster and pick up some time.
Yes,
Sorry,
Heather.
my hand again. I'm sorry, there's so many questions. I just have one other.
That's all right.
We're talking about a monetary threshold. The only thing that's kind of nagging at the side of my brain is if there was something that happened to be under 50,000, but was, I don't know, could be something that the TRC thought of as maybe controversial, could they choose to then bring it to us anyway?
Yeah.
Okay.
We would follow that practice, Heather, if we knew if it was very complicated or more subjective than something we know is absolutely needed to keep the project moving.
Okay, yeah, if it was 45,000 for something that was kind of a debate, should we do it or not? I would want it to come to the full committee, I think. Okay,
And we would just rely on their discretion for that.
And we work, Alexa, we work very closely with SMMA and Hill to understand where that we start every conversation with, how did this come about? What's it's needed? What's the impact on the project? So while discretionary, it's really founded in the discussions with SMMA.
Sure.
What Steve brings to the table, and, you know, he has also a lot of experience with these as well.
Great, that makes a lot of sense.
that
Thank
makes
you.
sense. Thank you. I'm done with the questions, I think.
It also makes sense maybe to, at every building committee, that we talk about discretionary changes that are on the potential PCO log, so that we have some visibility into them as a group here before the actual document comes over our desk. Because it takes some time,
I would
to
certainly
develop.
support that, Steve. I think that would be a great idea. And I just say that, I think we're putting our faith in the TRC. I think that, with Gail at the table, for representing the interests of the town, I feel very confident, as well as the experts who are there, who are monitoring all of this.
And Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, I consider Steve one of the experts.
Tim, I see your hand.
Yeah, I think I'm probably saying what others did. I from the discussion we had in the last meeting and this meeting, it struck me at the last meeting that authority, they did have to have some authority given the nature of the changes and the negotiations and the process to keep things moving in terms of the contractor. So I think this makes a lot of sense. I just want to make sure I understand, one, if any change is $50,000 or more, it comes to the committee for review. And number two, that we continue to see the same level of scrutiny at the committee level, because I think it's helpful to understand the changes. And the fact that we change this doesn't mean that we'll see less in the long run. Not to approve it, but just to see the detail of what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to change on the reporting front. It's going to be the same level of detail, and you guys can touch and feel, ask questions and do what we normally do here at the committee level.
Good.
Great question, Tim. Anyone else?
I'll move to approve it.
Thank
Or do
you.
you
I'll
need
second
more
that.
detailed wording than that?
We did have a second. Was that Alexa? I guess I missed.
I
you.
said I would second it, but Heather's now questioning the level of detail in her motion.
Is
Yeah.
that enough of a motion? How about I move to approve this proposal as discussed, that the TRC have authority to move forward on anything under $50,000. And they will bring to us anything highly controversial.
Okay, you still second that?
Second.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, Alexa, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. Heather?
Yes.
Dawn, I'm a yes. Tim?
Yes.
Thank you. Lori?
Yes.
Thank you. Mark?
Yes.
Thanks. Pat?
Yep.
Matt Root, are you back? Have you been
Yes,
here?
I'm back. I'm a yes, and I was a yes on the previous ones. I don't think the
Oh,
star
okay.
six.
All right, very good.
So
Thanks,
if you
Matt.
couldn't hear me, I was a yes on all.
Okay. And Steve Stashewski?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Motion passes.
Good.
Right.
Thank you.
Now construction. And Tim, your hand's still up. Just FYI.
All right.
All right. So construction update for this month, we've got, you know, a lot going on site. I think we're over 100 workers on site at this point, with the various trades. The parking lots are certainly full of cars and lots of activity going on out here. So just moving through the buildings. Building C, all the spray on fireproofing is complete. The exterior framing, sheathing, and air vapor barrier is complete. The masonry is at 90% complete. They just have the elevator area that they're working on now. They've got, you know, interior framing is nearing completion. HVAC ductwork is nearing completion. They've got electrical rough at 67%. Plumbing is at the same. They're kind of neck and neck. Sheetrock is about 50% complete in the C building. So they're continuing to close up walls, you know, doing all the necessary inspections they need to do to get sign off before they close up walls. Both of the stairs are complete and fully functional and accessible for the workers to use. The roofing installation is near completion. I've got some photos of that coming up, and then window installation is at 50% for the C building. B building, we've got spray fireproofing at 60% complete. Exterior framing is almost done. Masonry's halfway there. Roofing is 80% complete. Interior framing started in this building earlier this month, so they're working on some of that infrastructure inside, as well as HVAC and plumbing rough ends. The B stairs are installed, but they're not signed off quite yet for usage. Building A, they've got all the exterior, you know, nearing completion on the exterior framing, as well as sheathing. Air vapor barriers is right behind on that process. They've got spray fireproofing at about 30% complete in building A. Roofing's halfway there. The upper roof is done. So they're making good progress on the roofing front. Still working through different elements of the site. The retaining wall in the back of the building is complete. All the trenching and backfilling within the building footprint is now complete. They've got parking lot paving. The binder course went down in another portion of the parking area to create some more temporary parking on site, and just kind of establish some of the parking areas. Site utilities are complete with the exception of electrical work just outside of the building. Some infrastructure we need to make sure that the electrical is set up for permanent power. And then you know, there's remaining site work that's going to be picking up here in May and June, including, you know, more storm drainage infrastructure, more electrical infrastructure, with lighting and light poles, and they'll start with curbs and other elements to kind of create the parking area and whatnot, and further develop the site around the building. So other highlights, we've got, you know, as far as schedule goes, the critical path activities are tracking on schedule through May of 2024. So we're not seeing any issues with schedule management and making sure that the critical work is being done on a month-to-month basis. So far so good at, you know, 50% construction. PV foundation scope, the pricing is in progress. So CTA is still working with vendors. They're trying to get, you know, someone that can perform the work and put in these caisson foundations in this environment, which is mostly sand, and then kind of lock them into pricing and put that in front of us. So still going through that exercise. FF&E and technology procurement packages are ongoing. they're updating estimates as well. And that's something that we're currently reviewing and just making sure everything's in alignment. So some aerial photo here, just kind of a different perspective of the building and where they're at with various progress. So all the white is where they have completed roofing. So you can kind of see what that looks like from above, start to see, the brick wrapped around certain portions of the building and what's remaining to complete for the exterior envelope here. This is the building C south elevation. So you can see that all the brickwork is done at this point, and they got a good portion of the windows in. Brackets are there for the sunshades. Here's some photos of the auditorium and gymnasium spaces. So this is the one on the left is the auditorium. And this is actually some of the change order work that you guys approved in prior meetings, the under slab conduits for the AV. So Griffin jumped on that and basically knocked out that work already under the slab. And then gymnasium, just kind of have things graded off and continuing to do work overhead in the gym. This is a shot of the roofing progress. This is from building A looking west, I guess, towards building B this is building C looking towards building B and A. And then this is just a brick installation setup with the lifts. So they continue to work off of lifts with the brick. They've lost all the enclosures that you saw in prior months, certainly warm enough to do brick without any heat or enclosures at this point. And then some drone captures from late April. So that and the elevation capture. And that's all we had for construction update.
Thank you, Ian. I just want to point out that seven or eight of us were out there. Is that just last week? Oh my God. The end of last week. It looks great. It's great to see, they were literally painting some spaces. So pretty far along in some areas, and still, the gym and auditorium, as you can see, we're still kind of steel and not poured slabs yet, but it's great to have seen. And I think those who were able to go on the tour appreciated being able to see it in person. So looks great. They're doing a great job out there. Anyone have any questions, comments, anything that on the construction progress? No? All right.
Just that it looks great.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Happening
They're
like
doing a
it.
great job. Somewhere there exists a photo of us in front of it from last week. So kind of fun to get out there. And I believe Justin's not here, but next Tuesday, the student building committee is touring. So that'll be exciting. And I want to say his teachers ahead of that. So lots of folks being able to visit construction. It's kind of nice to see the different, like that's pretty far along, right? The classroom bar is the farthest along, and then see the different stages. So it's kind of cool for everyone. All right. If no one has any comments on the construction progress, I see Jason was on. Is he still on? I don't know if there's a CMLP update to give.
I am here. Yep.
Hi.
Hi. So are you ready?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Great. So I just wanted to mention a couple things. First, the variance. We were before the ZBA last week on Thursday. The variance is for some of the footings of the canopies that are actually in the 40-foot setback from the road. So we have 4 places where those kind of cross over that up to about 15 feet into the setback. And the ZBA does not very often issue variances. So there was some healthy discussion about that and some just concerns about making sure they don't set a precedent by allowing this. The town planner and council were there, and they discussed this and explained why this property really had some unique characteristics and restrictions, being close to the wellhead, having sloping off in the back, all the basically usable space being used by the school. So they seemed inclined to grant the variance, but they did want to have a decision ready that encapsulated some of the reasons why that were articulated why this was necessary. So they wanted to continue it, but they understood the potential impacts on schedule. Fortunately, they had a meeting already on the books for today that needed to be repurposed anyway. So it was continued until today, the 16th of May. And we're hopeful that we've seen the draft decision. We're hopeful that they do approve that. And then once we have the variance in hand, that will allow us to actually start work on the footings that are going to be into that setback area. The next thing I wanted to mention, and Ian kind of touched on this already, was just getting the bids for the vault work and the canopy footing work. We're watching that process and making sure that we see movement, and also trying to identify some other alternatives in case we're not getting timely estimates from the CTA Griffin or the existing people who are doing work on the property. And our project manager, Mary Bolso, is working on that. And then lastly, I just want to mention that our Assistant Director of Power Supply and Energy Management was at a networking event earlier this week, and she actually ended up talking to a couple people from other MLPs that had done solar and battery projects at schools. And they basically spoke with her for an hour on lessons learned. So I've asked her to articulate those in a kind of a summary document so we can take a look at those and maybe reach out and talk to them, just so that we don't have to repeat others' mistakes, or see what we can do to make sure we stay on time and on budget. So those are my updates now, and hopefully at our next meeting I'll tell you that we have the variance and that we've gone out to bid.
Thank you for the update, Jason, and good luck today in front of the ZBA. You said it was just the footings, right? So it's under the finished elevation that this is a discussion about. Okay,
Well,
just so I
the
understand.
canopies do hang over as well. So
Okay, so the canopies will hang over, and the footings that are under the
yeah, there's
4 feet
one.
or
There's
whatever
basically either 1 or 0 footings for these 4 intrusions into the setback, and then sometimes it's just the overhang, and sometimes it's 1 footing, and then some of the panels. But the other thing that I'll mention is the town planner noted that the school has a permit for the impervious surface, and that we want to take a look at the analysis of how the panels will impact that, because any panel over pavement won't impact it, but anything that overhangs grass, we just want to look at that, calculate the amount, and make sure that there's available space on the property to make up for that. So we're working with engineering on that now. Elizabeth started the conversation with Alan, Steve Dukran, and the engineering team. So we'll be taking a look at that and seeing if we can do some calculations.
Great, thank you for that. Makes me very much appreciate engineers right now. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Jason or CMLP and where we are with things? I just want to say thank you for taking this by the horns, Jason, again. Much appreciation for moving this piece of your project along and coordinating with our team. So appreciate all of that.
You've been great to work with, Hill and Gail and Lori.
Great.
Thank you.
Good to hear. We have a great team. All right, no one has any questions? Awesome. Appreciate the update, Jason. Good luck today, and we'll look for the next update, and hopefully we see some progress by then.
Great.
It's great to hear. Yeah, thank you. All right, new business. Anyone have any? Radio silence. All right, public comment. Anyone have any comments today? Public, now's your chance. Turn on your camera, raise your hand. Last call. Okay then. Next steps and next meeting, Ian, what's on our calendars here? We're coming up against summer, so let's make sure everyone's aware when our next meetings are.
It's gonna be the third week of June, the third Thursday in June, so the 20th, June 20th.
It's like the week
We're gonna
after
have-
school. Yeah. All right. Okay. Is it on our calendars? I guess I better look before we.
It should be, yeah. I think I did all of 2024.
All right, so everyone mark that date, June 20th, same time, same place. And I do see it in there, so thank you. All right, I guess if that's it, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, very good. I think once we lose quorum, we're off. So thank you everyone for all your time today. Good to see you all.